website with a whole bunch of BS, everybody freebies, or to share as you will. The books we can buy. Okay. I'm looking at things. Chat overlay is not, I will have no idea whether anybody's watching because I had to get a update on the stupid computer, which presumably maybe the reason why it's more awkward. That's what happens with Microsoft updates. And also did the dishes. Been kind of a day to day, sudden showers and thunder showers, and then suddenly bright sunny, and TV transmission's a little bit icky and all that, but at least we don't have to worry about flooded houses, tornadoes, and all the other mess that's going on in the rest of the country. Anyway, part one, of course, Titans, the cute little creationist book that attempts to explain dinosaurs. And then a part two, which we will be having on Lita Sanders and wasps. Oh, death, where is thy sting? Anyhow, so we'll start off with Sanford and dropping an fragmentary dinosaur. This one, an Australian sauropod, apparently the largest, Titan, from a 2021 paper by Hucknell. But their assertion is, quote, that the dinosaurs were desperately trying to escape rising floodwaters, unquote, and citing another creationist work by Taz Walker in 2021. I'll be putting the link up to that one. First off, why were they bringing this relatively fragmentary sauropod up? I suspect in part because Taz Walker and Sarfati are all Australian, so they're happy as clams to bring up material that refers to that. And whatever it is, they're going to relate it to the flood. But yeah, things are not quite that simple. The creationists, both Walker and S&T, were very excited about references to a trampling zone. And so they're envisaging the idea that these animals were being crushed by the trampling rampage of dinosaurs stomping along. Well, that's not quite what's referring to. Trackways in mud can get trampled on if it's a fairly common pathway for critters, and especially if it's a place that's prone to tidal surges, forest fires, volcanic eruptions. By the way, there's volcanic stuff in the region back at the time, back in the Cretaceous. So any number of local events could have dealt with that. And all of that's perfectly consistent with what was presented in the paper, or for that matter, with the various sources that you can scavenge up, referring to that they're referring to the various technical stuff. But neither of our creationists alluded to a little detail that is in the paper. Quote, bone fragments indicating a long period of surface exposure, unquote, which would seem to be exactly the opposite of the rapid burial scenario that the Big Slosh mandates. Oopsie poo. Okay, part two is a 2016 post by Lita Sanders on death in the fall that came out because creationists have a tendency to be recycling their work. In fact, it was reposted on a CMI in April of this year. Was there really no death before the fall? Ooh, it's not a terribly long piece. Anyway, you'll be able to, I'll be putting a link up to that little puppy. But what intrigued me about it was along the way she was making a point about wasps. I wrote an article soon to be published in Creation magazine about how wasps actually have a critical creative function in the ecosystem. As far as stings, wasp sting has modified ovipositors and organs something. This is the same for bees. Supporting this, only female bees have stingers. So we have something that has degraded and is now used for something else in this fallen world. That's the cartoon. Well, that paper that she was referring to that was coming up is the Wasps, Nature's Pest Control. It is not exactly a gigantic mass of technical information. In fact, technically speaking, there was not a single technical paper, a link of repeating creative stuff. But I want to address that with what those pesky little evolutionary scientists are doing on the subject. What's the data? some of this stuff, well, most all of it's dated after the Sanders post. And by the way, I did some checking. Absolutely nothing on wasps since then in the creationist literature that I can see. If anybody knows a counterexample at ICR or one of the other areas, let me know. But I couldn't find anything. So this was basically as much as you were going to be getting out of it. There was a 2019 paper, Kumanen and Co., which I'll be putting a link up to, on the sheer variety of the various components involved. And then the egg-laying matter can be extremely invasive, as Cervinic 2017 covered, which brings up scads of aspects that you have to ask, would anybody want to design anything to do that? And it's sufficiently derived as you would have to wonder, this can't be elements of the original design system, and could this sort of stuff have developed after the supposed fall, got all the poor little wasps going off on a completely different direction, free for all, to do all of their little funky stuff. And then, of course, there is the humongous issue of the stingers. Everything she said about the stingers as modified ovipositors is true enough. None of that was developed by any creationist, by the way. That was all work done in the scientific literature, which, of course, she cited nothing of. And then there would be the matter of systematics. The Hymenoptera are a really interesting little bunch that diversified about 280 million years ago, which in the creationist dogma would be falling in pre-flood times. And the ancestral wasps are a chunk farther down the road, 247 million years ago, according to Tang, which is a kind of summary discussion of some competing phylogenies from Brandstetter and Peters that I'll also leave links up to, that match on the main details, but disagree on some little detail placements as to which little small group relates to which little small group. And that's understandable because, of course, you don't really have a gigantic fossil record on these things to settle it, and you're going entirely on the genetics of existing wasps. How many are there to work with? Well, you got 70,000 some odd species in oodles families. So how many kinds? Part of 153,000 species among the Hymenoptera generally. Were any of them taken aboard the Ark? Are any of them capable of surviving for a year in a drowned, watery landscape? Inquiring minds would love to know, but we're never going to find this out. I can see no baromenology analyses of wasps, and I can certainly see no plot line working out for the existence of a pre-flood environment other than wasps were supposedly doing sweet and wonderful things. You get the same difficulty with other attempts. We alluded to, I did it either in Rocks Were There or Evolution Slam Dunk about, I think it was Slam Dunk, about chitin and how supposedly in the pre-flood world this was used to degrade stuff. But it's a scenario that as soon as you start thinking about the problems with it, it starts to disintegrate. So anyway, signal's coming on, but I'm still seeing no side nor hair of the overlay, so I have absolutely no idea whether anybody's watching us or not. You catch us on the bit once I get to plug all the material on the show. Next week, of course, will be another installment of the Casey Luskin Roadshow on the functional junk DNA papers. That will be a fun little operation to add onto the list, and we'll see whether or not they chalk up more than the one kind of halfway supporting paper that they've managed to encounter so far. We'll see. It'll certainly be an interesting opportunity to learn way more about all the little ins and outs of retrotransposons and little fiddly bit details go. And as a constant reminder that none of the people doing this work are intelligent design people. So anyway, that'll be next week. The sauropod groups, he's still got a bunch more in this book to contend with, of which some of them have supporting documentation every once in a while. And so it's going to be a continuing process of working out why they're picking picking up on the ones they do, and as we did last week, what's the background geology context of to indicate, as you may have noticed already in the series, anyway, signals bouncing up and down, up to with the fact that we had the area. Everybody the stuff freebie in a low budget little tip. I guess that mucho bucks for their various platforms to be able to put in their things too. I've seen the glitch and they're freebie. So let's do our little share screen and thank everybody supporting the project. Our research, our fans, without the gang, it's in a way that the people who have found the book to create the project. In fact, I was able to restock stuff before my social security. Yeah. I'll into it too. I'll put plug there. Links. Okay, good. That. I wasn't doing anything. I was adjusting and editing the title. It's still oscillating up and down. We hit so online very funky. So I'll go ahead and curtail our stream, and we will have everything going. So anyway, watch out for wooden out. Become a patron of the project. Share freebie everything that you can see at the website. That's what it's there for. There's a lot of material in there, and with a few little minor little footnote blips that I would be adjusting on a revised version. I think it's all very, very useful material for somebody coming into the field that wants to find out kind of like the basic skivvy and look over that. Oh, okay. So anyway, chat overlay is still spinning its little ding, ding, ding. So we will be curtailing the show, and we will see if things are better next week after the 4th of July.